Hello, CEO members. This month's theme, this month's action point is why it's so important to be the CEO of your own health and why you have to educate yourself before you make decisions on your health or your family's health. So last week we talked about the virus that's recently been around, the things that we were told to do, and how wrong they all turned out to be despite the evidence being overwhelming. And it's really a tragedy, because I talked to a young lady today who has severe issues from taking the shots, the jabs that she never needed, and she was just pressured into it. That's exactly what she told me. She was pressured into it. She worked for the school system, and now she has all kind of health issues that began immediately after her second dose. So it's really important. It's really important for you to understand that you have to be the CEO. You have to get good quality information, and you have to make sure that you know what you're deciding to do before you do it, and you understand what the consequences, good or bad, could be, that you weigh the risk and the benefits. So what I want to do is be able to help you with that, and I want to be able to help educate you and help you learn more. If you have questions, again, please email Billy@OptiURX or info@OptiURX. Either will be answered. So you can certainly call 855-OPTIU. That's 855-678-4968. And you can always try to get in touch with us one of those two ways. We will get back with you and we will answer your questions. So tonight we're going to talk about why it is so important when it comes to cholesterol to be the CEO of your own health. Because, some of the biggest selling drugs in the world, there's not just one, are called the statin drugs. Those are cholesterol lowering drugs. Now, we're told, of course, that cholesterol is the cause of heart disease and that we need to lower our cholesterol by taking one of these statin drugs. So let's look at some of the facts about this, and then as good CEOs, you have to decide. Number one, 70% of people that have heart attacks have perfectly normal cholesterol. So that should throw up our first red flag. If 70% of people who have heart attacks have normal cholesterol, even by today's much lowered levels, even by today's much lowered levels from what they were when I went through pharmacy school, they continue to lower those numbers so that more and more people will be eligible to take their drugs. I think that's the only reason. I don't think there's any science that backs it. So if 70% of the people that have heart attacks have normal cholesterol, even by today's lowered levels, then could that really be the entire culprit, if really playing a role at all? Well, let's talk about some more numbers. Let's talk about the fact that there's never been a study that statins prevented a heart attack in what is called primary prevention. So they've never been studied. They've never been shown. I won't say they've never been studied. They've never been shown to prevent a primary heart attack. That means a first heart attack. How many people are on statin drugs? How many tens of millions of people in the United States are on statin drugs for what we would call primary heart attack prevention? Meaning they've never had a heart attack, but maybe their cholesterol was 202 and they said they needed a statin. Well, there's no study anywhere ever that says that there's a benefit for that. The only thing, by the way, there's no study that shows that it helps women or children in any circumstance, that statin drugs have any benefit for those folks. Despite all these women, especially women, I'm sure there are some children, but there are lots and tens of millions, again, of women who are on statin drugs. And the only benefit that has ever been shown from a statin drug is what's called secondary prevention, and that is in a middle-aged male who has had a previous heart attack. And that prevention, that benefit, was 1%. So 1 out of 100 second heart attacks were prevented over a 5-year period. Now, So those odds are really not very good. It's a 1% reduction. Now they will claim that it's a big reduction. They did the Jupiter study and it was 3 out of 100 in the placebo group who were not getting a drug, just a pill, a sugar pill. 3 out of 100 over the 5-year period had a heart attack on average in the placebo group, and 2 out of 100 in the Crestor arm of that study had a heart attack over 5 years. So they say that is a 33% reduction, 2/3, 2 out of 3. 2 instead of 3, excuse me. When in reality, it's one person over 5 years at a massive cost, and even more importantly, with a massive list of side effects. So we don't even have the data to support that cholesterol, or even LDL, so-called bad cholesterol, has any real negative benefit or any real negative consequences, I should say, toward heart attack risk. It is, however, proven that high triglycerides and low HDL do have contributing factor to heart attacks, because high triglycerides caused by sugar, the liver turns the sugar into fat in the blood, triglycerides are fat in the blood, and low HDL, which helps clear the bad oxidized or damaged fats, damaged LDLs, and damaged triglycerides out of our system, out of our arteries. When we have low HDL and high triglycerides, we have smaller cholesterol particles, and smaller particles are much more likely to get caught in a nick or a damage in our artery, or a turn, even just a normal turn in our artery where there'd be a tight turn. Those are much more likely to be the case when we have the high triglycerides and the low HDL. So when we look at cholesterol numbers, we should throw total cholesterol out, which is what the statin drugs are designed to lower, is total cholesterol, and they do lower LDL cholesterol also. But LDL is not bad and total is not bad. What is bad is triglycerides, again driven by the sugars and the sugar responders. Hopefully by now you've learned enough about that, and we can certainly revisit that at some point. And then having low HDL. So when we look at the studies of some of the side effects that are well documented with statin drugs, increase in diabetes, which is the number one driver of heart disease, because the insulin goes up when you have diabetes or pre-diabetes. So these drugs increase the risk of diabetes in men and women across the board. They increase muscle damage. Now, the heart, being the most important muscle in the body, is damaged. They are shown to have memory issues or cognitive issues in the brain. They can lead to more Alzheimer's. They can lead to more dementias. They can lead to more memory issues. I just don't remember like I used to. They can cause what's called TIA, transient ischemic attacks, where the blood flow is reduced to the brain and people just can't remember things like they used to for a little while. That's why it's called transient. It's not long lasting in most cases. They lead to other muscles being damaged. They can lead to MS. They can lead to ALS, or Lou Gehrig syndrome. There's so much documentation on fatigue, rhabdomyolysis, where the muscles are damaged and then they're damaged and they actually leak or put out a fluid from the damage that can damage the kidneys. Statin drugs lower cholesterol, which lowers our hormones. They lower testosterone, they lower estrogen, they lower progesterone, they lower pregnenolone, they lower vitamin D levels. So when we look at when we weigh, which is what I opened this up about, right, is think about the virus, think about the treatments, think about the things they told us to do, think about the shots they told us to take, and we start to weigh the risk-benefit ratios. That's why you have to be a CEO, because, again, some of the top-selling drugs in the world, and certainly in the United States, are statin drugs to lower your cholesterol, when I'm not sure there's really any benefit to lowering your I know there's not any benefit to lowering your total cholesterol. The only way the brain cell, by the way, can make new cells is to have LDL cholesterol there. So there's so many functions. Cholesterol is an antioxidant in the body. Actually, after a certain age, people who have higher total cholesterol levels and higher LDL levels live longer. So we really need to think through before we make these decisions. Now remember, the medical providers, the doctors, the nurse practitioners, the physician's assistants, they're taught that you need a statin. If your cholesterol is 201, you're 1 point above, you probably need a statin. They don't typically look at the most important numbers, triglycerides and HDL. And how do we lower triglycerides? Well, we quit eating the sugar, we follow the OptiU eating plan, we take the right supplements so the body can utilize carbohydrates efficiently, we take the multi, we take the mag, we take the digestive enzymes. The probiotic helps the body digest these carbohydrates. So we do that, we cut out the refined carbohydrates. And how do we raise HDL? Well, we exercise. That's one of the big things, especially resistance training. So moving some weights of some kind, even if it's body weight. And then we also can raise HDL with like the Prescriptions Plus Fish Focus. So the good omega-3s, cutting out the omega-6s, the seed oils that I talk so much about, the refined seed oils, the peanut oil, the soybean oil, the, what am I missing? Soybean, peanut, I'm missing a big one. But anyway, you get my point. Any of those seed oils in the stores, canola oil, that's the big one that I'm missing. Now, here's the really ironic thing about it. We want to avoid all those oils, but what does the American Heart Association recommend we cook with? The seed oils, of course. And why? Because the seed oils lower the cholesterol is the theory. So if you use canola oil or soybean oil or peanut oil or grapeseed oil, you will lower your cholesterol more than if you use coconut oil or butter, which are much healthier options, or ghee, which would be clarified butter. So it's really, really, really important for you to get these videos, for you to take them to heart, for you to look at these videos, for you to understand what the risks are and why it is so critical, and why I'm so proud of you for being the CEOs of your own health and being here and trying to learn and trying to revive, thrive, and optimize, like the shirt says, trying to take care of yourself and your family's health. Please continue to learn. Please continue to be here. Please continue to tell others about how valuable you believe the CEO membership is. I can't wait for next week. We're going to talk about more really important reasons why you must be the CEO of your own health.